To the evening news here on Skyliine News. Oyo State Governor and presidential candidate of the APM, Skyliine Makinde, has picked former DSS Director General Lawal Daura as his running mate for the 2027 presidential election. Makinde made the announcement at the APM National Convention in Bauchi. Daura replaces Ibrahim Bala, who was earlier announced as the running mate, but was reportedly a placeholder. The former DSS boss recently joined the party after leaving the African Democratic Congress ADC following his failure to secure the party's Katsina governorship ticket. Makinde said Daura is chosen for his experience and capacity to tackle Nigeria's security challenges. All eyes are on Osun State as 15 candidates prepare to battle for the governorship seat in Saturday's election. Incumbent Governor Demola Adeleke of the PDP APC candidates Bola Oyebamiji ADC candidate Najim Salam are among the major contenders. About 1.9 million registered voters are expected to participate, while security agencies have intensified preparations to prevent violence and ensure a peaceful poll. Let's stay with Osun State election now, where political tension is mounting ahead of Saturday's governorship election, with rival parties trading accusations and counter-accusations over alleged threats and intimidation. Security agencies have assured residents of adequate protection while warning politicians and their supporters against inflammatory statements capable of triggering violence. Authorities are urging voters to come out peacefully and exercise their franchise without fear. The Nigeria Police Force has more than 15,000 personnel, including 30 commissioners of police, will be deployed for Saturday's Osun State governorship election. The Force Public Relations Officer, CSP Aniete Inedu, said a Deputy Inspector General of Police would coordinate security operations across the state. A police helicopter and drone units have also been deployed for surveillance. And away to other stories now. Chairman and Chief Executive Officer of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, Brigadier General Mohammed Buba Marwa, has declared that the fight against illicit drugs remains relentless and must be sustained as a generational responsibility. Marwa made the declaration in Abuja at a ceremony where more than 200 NDLEA officers and key stakeholders were recognized for outstanding performance in the fight against drug trafficking and substance abuse. Nafisa Baba has details.
The NDLEA chairman, Brigadier General Marwa retired, said the agency cannot afford to declare victory in the war against illicit drugs, as dismantled cartels could be replaced by new ones and closed trafficking routes could give rise to alternative corridors. He said the agency's responsibility is to remain vigilant and continue disrupting drug network while protecting communities from the devastating effects of substance abuse. The agency's chairman commended officers, informants, and other stakeholders whose efforts contributed to the successes, noting that many of the operations were carried out without public attention.
For every cartel we dismantle, intelligence tells us another will attempt to rise. For every corridor we shut down, traffickers will search for another route. Our task, therefore, is not to declare victory. It is to remain relentless.
Marwa said enforcement alone cannot win the war against drugs, adding that communities, civil society organizations, mental health professionals, and the media must remain active partners in prevention, public awareness, rehabilitation, and reintegration.
The fight against drug trafficking and substance abuse was never going to be won by enforcement alone. It is won in the communities where NGOs quietly walk young people back from the edge of addiction. It is won in the newsrooms where journalists chose to tell the difficult stories, the stories of trafficking routes, of rehabilitation, of families rebuilding, even when those stories were not the easiest to tell. Our partners in civil society and the media have been the multiplier effect on everything this agency does.
At the ceremony, more than 200 officers were honored for exceptional performance, while commanders received special recognition for outstanding leadership and operational achievement. For the first time, the NDLEA also recognized 7 mental health organizations and 8 media platforms for their contributions to the campaign against substance abuse and illicit drug trafficking. Nafisa Baba for Skyliine News.
Nafisa Baba for that reporting. Niger State Police Command says it has arrested 147 suspects in operations targeting criminal hideouts and alleged thuggery. Police said 139 suspects were arrested during raids in Suleja and neighboring areas following a reported violent rally. The command alleged that some suspects were armed and involved in attacks as well as robbery during the incident. The police also stated that investigations are ongoing with the operation aimed at recovering weapons and restoring security across the affected communities. Federal Ministry of Information and National Orientation has reaffirmed its commitment to strengthening collaboration with security agencies in the fight against insecurity, disinformation, and other emerging national security threats. Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, made this known during a meeting with the Special Advisor to the President on Homeland Security, Adeyinka Famadewa, who led the delegation to the ministry in Abuja. Again, here are details by Nafisa Baba, who was there for Skyliine News.
Welcoming the delegation, the Special Advisor to the President on Homeland Security highlighted the importance of information management, public education, and effective communication in addressing the country's security challenges. He explained that the visit was aimed at establishing a stronger and more structured working relationship between the Homeland Security Office and the Ministry of Information and National Orientation. He also noted that information has become a critical component of national security, particularly at a time when the country is confronted with disinformation, artificial intelligence-generated content, and other emerging threats.
I want to say that today, public education is a key function and a key capability of Homeland Security. Unlike before, public information or public education is not just about the media. We are focusing on more things beyond the shooting. We are trying to build resilience of the people. We have 4 core priorities for now. Number 1 is to increase and establish a unified national intelligence and surveillance program. No space of land in Nigeria should be left unmonitored. Secondly, and very close to this, is to improve the border security, make efforts and put in place measures to improve border security, because we all know that a lot of the problems we have are transnational. Some of these people, they move in and out our borders.
He outlined key priorities of the Homeland Security Office, including the development of a unified national intelligence and surveillance system, strengthening border security, improving the tracking of criminal activities, and establishing effective protocols for information sharing and emergency response. On his part, Minister of Information and National Orientation described the visit as significant, noting that the ministry has an important role to play in helping Nigerians understand the mandate and responsibilities of the Homeland Security Office. Mohammed Idris said no single security agency or level of government has successfully tackled insecurity alone, calling for stronger coordination among the armed forces, security agency, government institutions, and citizens.
There is now greater coordination between security agencies and also better engagement with communities, with citizens, wherever they are in this country, so that we can fight this all together. This is a situation that is almost 2 decades old now, roughly, but we are seeing now, light at the end of the day, that we are moving in a direction that will ultimately take us out of this critical situation that we are all in.
He further highlighted the importance of credible information in combating security, warning that fake news and misinformation could undermine security operations and create unnecessary fear within society. He noted that the ministry and its agencies are prepared to support the Homeland Security Office through strategic communication, public education, crisis communication, and information dissemination. The Federal Ministry of Information and National Orientation also stated that effective communication and collaboration remain essential tools in the collective effort to build a safer and more secure Nigeria. Nafisa Baba for Skyliine News.
Let's stay with some security issues now. The Nigerian military has intensified operations against Lakurawa and other armed groups operating across parts of the Northwest. Troops are conducting offensive operations aimed at dismantling terrorist networks and preventing them from establishing bases in vulnerable communities. The military says the renewed campaign is part of efforts to restore peace and enable residents return to normal economic activities. We have more stories for you after this break. Please do stay with us. Many thanks for staying with us on the news. Let's now turn to business for you. President Bola Tinubu says Nigeria's refineries will be revived and made profitable as the federal government intensifies efforts to strengthen domestic refining capacity. The president further noted that the country must reduce its dependence on imported petroleum products by maximizing its crude oil resources. The move is expected to boost energy security, create jobs, and reduce pressure on the country's foreign exchange market. At least 94 countries have introduced new fuel subsidies, price caps, or tax measures to cushion consumers from the global energy crisis. The International Energy Agency, IEA, says more than 115 countries have introduced measures in response to the energy shock. While several countries are supporting consumers, Nigerians continue to face rising petrol and diesel prices. Energy experts are calling for targeted interventions to reduce the impact on households as well as businesses. More than 2,700 residents of Imugbara, Odo Ijesha, and Ikberendo in Osun State have benefited from a free medical outreach by Segilola Resources Operating Limited. The two-day program provided consultations, laboratory tests, specialist care, and health education. The company also expanded its Shegun Care program for residents living with chronic diseases to include more comprehensive mental health support. Nigeria's deposit money banks spent 76.54 billion naira on advertising, promotions, and corporate gifts in the first quarter of 2026. The figure represents a 5.35% increase from the 72.65 billion naira recorded during the same period last year. The rise reflects increased marketing activities as banks compete for customers and strengthen their brands. NAFDAC and Ogun State Police Command have strengthened cooperation to regulate the sale and distribution of alcoholic drinks in the state. The move followed a meeting between NAFDAC officials and the State Commissioner of Police, Bode Ojajuni. The agency says the participation is aimed at protecting public health and strengthening enforcement, particularly around sachet alcoholic products. Dangote Petroleum Refinery is planning an initial public offering in October in what could be one of Africa's biggest IPOs. The company has submitted a $5 billion application to the Securities and Exchange Commission, although the final size of the offer is yet to be determined. The refinery says the listing will give more Nigerians an opportunity to participate in the company's growth. The naira has strengthened against the dollar in the official market exchange following the central bank's easing of restrictions on foreign exchange and government securities transactions by banks. The regulatory agency has also opened access to its discount window, a move expected to improve liquidity and support stability in the financial markets. OPEC says Nigeria's economy expanded by 3.9% year-on-year in the first quarter of 2026. The growth was supported by steady oil production and ongoing economic reforms. OPEC says improved macroeconomic stability, recovering private sector activity, and increased domestic refining capacity are strengthening the country's economic outlook. A trade surplus of $3.46 billion in April has been recorded, helped by a significant decline in Nigeria's import bill. The Central Bank of Nigeria says the value of imports fell 18.7% during the period, contributing to the improvement in Nigeria's external trade position. The development provides a positive indicator for the economy, although concerns remain over inflation and household purchasing power. Let's take another break now. When we return, we'll look at entertainment and foreign news for you. Please stay with us. Thank you so very much again for staying with us on the news. Now let's turn to sports for you. Nigeria's Super Falcons will miss the 2027 FIFA Women's World Cup for the first time after losing 2-1 to South Africa in Thursday's crucial WAFCON playoff in Casablanca, Morocco. Thembi Kanana and Rofili Jane scored for South Africa before the Christy Uchebe pulled one back for Nigeria from the penalty spot in added time. The defeat ends Nigeria's record-breaking appearing at every Women's World Cup since the competition began in 1991. And Super Falcons head coach Justin Madugu is facing growing pressure following Nigeria's failure to qualify for the 2027 Women's World Cup. Madugu says he is not afraid of losing his job despite the development, while the Nigerian football community continues to debate the team's performance and the defection of the women's national team. And still talking football, Nigeria's Flying Eagles have also suffered disappointments after losing 4-1 to Burkina Faso in the final of the WAFU Zone B Under-20 Championship. The defeat ended Nigeria's hopes of reaching the 2027 FIFA Under-20 World Cup and adds to a difficult period for the country's national teams. And beyond our shores now, Arsenal and Manchester City will meet in the 2026 FIFA Community Shield on Sunday as the traditional curtain raiser to the new English football season. The match will be played at the Principality Stadium in Cardiff, Wales, with both clubs using the fixture to test their squads ahead of the Premier League campaign. In the meantime, the new English Championship season gets underway today, marking the return of competitive football in England ahead of the Premier League's opening weekend. The Championship is expected to provide another closely contested campaign, with clubs battling for promotion to the top flight and others fighting to avoid relegation. A quick look at entertainment. Afrobeat superstar Wizkid is set to headline the opening night of this year's Dirty December Fest in Lagos. The Grammy-winning singer will perform on December 18, with the 13-day festival running until December 30. More than 300 performers are expected to feature across 2 stages, with music, food, fashion, and entertainment planned across the state. And late Nollywood actor Alex Ekubo's final movie, Sweet 16, has arrived in Nigerian cinemas. The musical film stars Ekubo alongside Yemi Alade, Mercy Aigbe, Julius Agu, and Daniel Etim Efia. The release gives fans another opportunity to see the late actor on screen and celebrate his contribution. to Nollywood and indeed African movie industry. A five-time Grammy winner Angelique Kidjo is set to receive a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame on August 18. The Beninese music icon will become the first Black African performer to receive the honor. The recognition celebrates her decades-long career and contribution to African music and culture. The Jonas Brothers are returning as Disney revives the popular camp rock franchise. Joe, Nick, and Kevin Jonas return as Connect 3 alongside Demi Lovato, who reprises her role as Michi Torres. The new movie introduces a new generation of performers and is now streaming on Disney+. And back home, controversial Nigerian singer Portable has thrown down the gauntlets to Afrobeat superstar Davido, claiming he has more hit songs than the global music star. In a recent video, Portable declared that he is ready to compete with Davido over their respective music catalogs. The street pop singer pointed to his singles and collaborations with artists including Olamide and Skepta, insisting he has delivered hits after hit. As expected, Davido is set to headline his first ever festival in the United Kingdom today as his highly anticipated Davido and Friends concert takes over London's Crystal Palace Bowl. The Afrobeat superstar will be joined by artists including Omale, Black Sherif, Gatsby, and Morave. Davido has described the event as his first UK festival and his only outdoor London performance this summer. When we return from this break, we'll turn to the foreign scene for you, where so much has happened the last 24 hours. Do stay with us. Let's go into the foreign scene for you, where Iran has rejected claims by US President Donald Trump that Washington has full control of the Straits of Hormuz. Tehran insisted that the strategic waterway remains under its control, while the United States has threatened an indefinite naval blockade around Iranian ports. The escalating dispute is raising fresh concerns over global oil supplies, as the Straits is a major route for international energy shipments. U.S. President Donald Trump's envoy and son-in-law Jared Kushner is expected to travel to Israel and Egypt next week for talks on the future of Gaza. The discussions will focus on Washington's plan for Hamas to disarm, the possible withdrawal of Israel forces, and the transition to a Palestinian administration. The initiative, however, faces opposition from Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's government. In the meantime, the Gaza ceasefire is facing renewed strain after an Israeli drone strike killed a Palestinian and injured another in Khan Yunis. The incident comes amid continuing accusations of ceasefire violations, while diplomatic efforts continue to secure a more permanent political and security arrangement for the entire territory. Global oil prices have risen as tensions between the United States and Iran intensify over the Strait of Hormuz. Brent crude has climbed up to $87 a barrel, with prices on track for weekly gains of around 4%. Markets are increasingly concerned that prolonged disruption around the key shipment route could affect global energy supplies. And that's a full package here on the news on Skyliine in Abuja, Nigeria's capital. I am William Mofwegbe. As always, we are grateful for your time with us.